Telling your story is one of the most powerful ways you can use to get help for yourself or for someone else, no matter what kind of story you are telling, whether it's an amazing experience or a bad memory. Just note that your story affects your mental health and your mental health affects stories. And mental health is something that affects everyone, but it's not talked about enough and it shouldn't be. And that is why I have thought to do an episode on that. Because why not? Why shouldn't we be able to talk about these things openly? I am my story. You are your story. When we embrace our stories, we get a glimpse into the lives of others. We better understand ourselves and the world at large. Welcome to the Chronicles Pod, a curated podcast of extraordinary stories of remarkable people around the globe. From the world's famous to the most ordinary person, I believe there is no story too big or too small to be shared. Each episode is a story. I hope you find one that inspires, refreshes, entertains, educates, or encourages you in a beautiful way. I am Ayooluniyi, your host. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a world of extraordinary stories. Hello and welcome back to the Chronicles Pod. I am Ayooluniyi, your host, and this is episode 4 of the podcast. In this episode, we will be talking about mental health. What is mental health? How does it affect storytelling? How can we cope with stressful feelings when telling our stories? All this and more will be answered in this episode. So, if you're new to the topic of mental health, I would just like to help by sharing my little knowledge on that and just try and explain it in a simple way, in the best way I can. So, mental health is a general term used to describe how someone feels, how someone behaves, and it can include things like mood, energy levels, thoughts, behaviors, relationship with others, and physical health. I would also like to raise an awareness, that we all have mental health, because I have seen and heard people talk about mental health in hushed tones and in disgust, because they just don't want to be associated with that term. But the truth is that there is no health without mental health. So you are not complete without your mental health. It is when you begin to not prioritize your mental health and your well-being, that is when you might begin to have problems, especially when care is not taken on time. This year's World Mental Health Day was observed on October 10th, and the theme was making mental health and well-being for all a global priority. So, how does this matter so much to storytelling? Mental health affects storytelling in different ways, a few different ways. First, it can affect our abilities to tell stories, particularly when you're feeling not so yourself, when you're feeling too stressed and also anxious and sad. You might not be able to tell your story in that state. Second is that it affects how we feel about telling the story. So if you're feeling anxious and stressed out about what is going on in your life, let me say, or you lost your job and on your way back home the bus conductor cheated you, that state alone can affect how you feel about telling your neighbor that you lost your job, or telling your friend that you lost your job. It might actually make the story really difficult because you just don't want to talk about it or relieve any painful memory. Thirdly, it affects how people see us when we tell our stories. When you're feeling some kind of way, when you're feeling sad or you're in a bad mood or something, it can make you appear less approachable and make it more difficult for people to connect with you emotionally than usual. Let me share a personal story about my experience with mental health and stress. Personally, I've always been really great at hiding my feelings from other people. I would rather feel, or I would usually feel other people's feelings than mine. So recently, for a long time, I was really, really stressed out about this whole adulthood thing, about the future, about how my life is going to turn out. It was really overwhelming, so much that it actually made me physically sick. So thankfully one day, someone reached out to me and then we got talking and I was able to talk to the person about the things that was overwhelming me at that point in time, and that changed everything for me because the person had experienced similar feelings. And so the person was able to share with me the experiences, the lessons that got me believing in a brighter tomorrow. So instead of wallowing in self-pity, trying to figure out things myself, trying to figure out how to fix things basically, which actually only made things worse, to be very honest, I was able to do the opposite. Like, I was able to make my brain focus on positive thoughts, like things will get better, I'm going to find love once again, and I was able to channel my energy into more profitable activities. So speaking of tips, first off, one thing you should know is that there is more than one way to take care of your mental health. What works for me may not work for you, and that is totally okay. Also, you don't have to choose one way of coping with your feelings of taking care of your mental health. I can use art or any form of creative expression to explore and express myself. You as a person can decide to express yours by taking a walk, writing a song, writing a journal, or even a book. Anything, as long as it keeps you safe, as long as you feel safe doing it. So one thing you might want to consider when you need to make sure you are mentally healthy even while sharing your story is taking care of yourself. Like, have a warm bath, eat good food, just do something that makes you care for your own self. Wait, have you ever felt overwhelmed that you felt like shutting out the world and you just want to go into your own head, and suddenly somebody surprises you with a gift, or a friend surprises you with a meal, something you have been craving all week, then you see everything changes? Maybe that's all you needed. It has happened to me. Like, somebody bought me a meal, and for that moment in time my problems disappeared, at least for the time being, and everything eventually became less tense. And yeah, you can say food was what I needed. That is okay too, but that was on a lighter mode. But what I'm trying to say is that mental health doesn't always need medication or therapy. It's just as important to take care of yourself physically and even spiritually too. Listen to that song that will lift your spirit. Pray. Have a retreat. Another tip for you is to be aware of your own triggers. Triggers are things that can make you feel better or worse. For example, if Sakba is hooking you, Don't stay isolated. Be around people that will help you, people that you will be more likely to be happy around and be open about your feelings too. If you stay longer around people who would make you feel poorer or sadder, or people who don't really understand your situation, that can cause you to be depressed. Honestly, you will just be locked away inside your head, and when your feelings feel locked, they go down in depression. And actually, people kill themselves because of lack. No jokes. Then that leads me to the next point, which is honestly tell your story. When you get comfortable with telling your story, the people around you, tell your story. You're not alone. Your story matters. Let people know what is wrong with you, your experience, and how it is affecting you or how it has affected you. Let them know how they can help you, what they can do to actually support you. If you just want them to listen, just tell them, I just want you to listen. Or if you need something different, just tell them. Don't try to hide anything or make excuses. Just be honest as possible. Sharing your story with people can actually make things less scary. Telling someone about what is happening to you can make things less overwhelming, especially when they have been through similar experiences. One way to help yourself again is to share or tell your story to help other people around you. This helps a lot because sharing lived experiences is like being a mirror, in the sense that people can relate to your story and see themselves in you, in that story of yours when you share it. Similar to this particular tip is being mindful of what time of day it is you are sharing your story. If you want to share what is happening to you to someone, you have to prioritize their own mental health too. If the person you need to talk to is at work, you can't just come at them and be all emotional about your situation. You can send a message before placing a call and say, are you free to talk? I need to talk to you, blah blah blah, and confirm and reaffirm when it's best to talk to them about what you're going through. You just coming at them might not end well, because they might not just be in the right headspace to talk to you, and that might make you feel like you are being misunderstood or they just don't get you. Lastly, get help if possible. Whether it's seeing a therapist, consulting a psychotherapist, getting medication, there are several options and resources available depending on what the situation is. So don't hesitate to get help. There is someone out there willing to help you. There's something out there that can get you out of that feeling you're feeling. So don't hesitate to get help. So we have come to this point where I say goodbye. We have come to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening. I lost my train of thought at that point, but I guess I just wanted to say goodbye. I hope you learn more about what it means and how to prioritize your mental health and that of others around you. Together, I think we can make mental health and well-being a global priority. And that being said, you can share the impact of this podcast, the impact of this episode, by sharing the link of this podcast with your friend, with someone you just met, with your colleague, with your family members. And if you need someone to talk to, honestly, you can reach out to me. You can send a DM. And also, if you haven't followed the Chronicles Pod on Instagram, please do so. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at the Chronicles Pod _ the Chronicles Pod with an underscore. And yeah, you can drop your comments there. Thank you so much for always. Thank you for your phenomenal support. Thank you for listening. So I'll see you on the next episode. I love you. Bye.